Hi, my name is Denis Castellanos, and I want to thank you today for joining me in my presentation on working in a communist state micromanagement. My, pur- my purpose of this presentation is to shed light and show the similarities of micromanagement and communism, the government form, in the everyday workplace. Now, some may have been experiencing this, some may have never experienced this. I just want to shed light on the topic. Communism is defined as a political theory derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities. Karl Marx is considered the father of modern communism. In theory, it's a utopian government where all citizens are created equal. But as you'll note, that not everyone is created equal. There are five current governments that still are considered communists, all spawning off the USSR, which is now Russia. We have China, although they promote capitalism, they are communist in nature. Cuba, Laos, North Korea, and Vietnam. These are the original supporters of the USSR. And, and are slowly making way to different means. Here's some interesting highlights about communism. The first communist leader to come into power is Vladimir Lenin in 1919. This was after a revolution in Russia where he gained power. Commun- Communism in China began in 1949, and in Cuba in 1959, and in Vietnam 1975. These were when the Communist Party took over. There's currently four modern forms of communism that we experience today and that have been shown throughout history, which is Leninism, Stalinism, Trotskyism, and Maoism. Notice how they all take Karl Marx's teaching and manipulate it for their own image of what they believe communist was. Communism, in my experience, I listed some experiences that I've had in my travels to Cuba. I've been going to Cuba since I was a young boy, well before they opened the doors to American citizens. Even though I was born in the United States and I had to take alternative means to get to Cuba, here are some of the experiences that I felt. And hey, communism, you have two cows and the state takes both and gives you some milk. That is the definition of micromanagement, and it's one of its simplest forms. It is that control factor. The state wants to control the cows and dictate who gets milk and how much they receive. Micromanagement, in its simplest definition, is defined by as controlling every part of how small of an enterprise or an activity. As managers or employees experiencing micromanagement, this is the same notion: the lack of responsibility when every action you commit is controlled by someone else. Here, signs of signs of micromanagement in the workplace, and if you're experiencing a resistance to delegation, if your boss does not delegate, that's a sign of micro. There's a top-down decision-making process. There's there's a lack of independent work, and tasks are constantly being reassigned based off of the individual who's assigning them. This clip from Dilbert had I thought it fit perfectly in my presentation. Although I will not be reading it, I'll allow you to take a moment to enjoy it. John Stoker, an author, and his quote that stuck out to me: "The authority, when abused through micromanagement, intimidation, verbal or nonverbal threats, makes people shut down and productivity ceases. And in a communist government, the abuse of authority, the same as well as in micromanagement, leads to the same notions." Negative effects of micromanagement. It decreases employee engagement and morale. It can be compared to bullying as in regards to the level of control and influence of other team members and employees. And there's a high turnover rate of staff. As individuals, we do not want to be micromanaged. Now, some people do, some people don't. My personal stance is I would prefer not to. Here are the similarities of micromanagement and communism. Although there's a lot more, the notion of a dictatorship. A communism it's a single figurehead. That is the same thing with micromanagement, whether it's a manager, boss. It's destructive in the long run. It's not healthy. It stifles innovation, the lack of individualism, and it creates low morale amongst the employees. A meme here is the best way to dictate, and I've personally experienced this throughout my professional career, and I'm sure others have as well. I will give you a moment to enjoy. Micromanagement and its effect on its employees. Micromanagement is an inhibitor. It inhibits the ability not only of productivity but aptitude. It limits the potential. How can I grow as an individual or to be a better worker if I have a limited number of responsibilities? And the constant oversight deters enthusiasm and drive. Here's some do's when dealing with the micromanager. Do everything to gain their trust. Try to identify what motivates and worries them and to assuage their concerns, and provide regular updates. A micromanager wants to be in the loop of things, but their concern is if they don't know what exactly is going on, that's when they tend to overextend. Here's some don'ts. Do not label anyone as a micromanager. Although in theory they are micromanagement, it often creates a trigger, and that's a behavior you want to avoid. Do not tell your boss how controlling they are unless they ask for it. It's people say they want to hear the truth, but in reality, they don't. What you as an individual should focus on is being an empower. An empower is defined as one who or that which empowers, or the verb is to delegate power and authority to. As an empowerers, we can empower our team members, our co-workers, our everyday individuals in our lives to be better of a person or a better asset. And so here's signs of an empower if you are one or you're working one. You clearly define what the product you want of each employees to produce. You value their ability to create and problem solve. You give clear production ranges within specified timeframes. Your management lifts and excites your team, and you delegate tasks effectively with your team. Here's the everyday application. Micromanagement can be applied not only in the workplace, but it is applied to everyday life. As a student, you can either be a micromanager in group projects or you can be an empowerer. And these are the things that you want to think about. I approach my everyday life trying to be an empower. I believe in delegation if people make mistakes.